Hey guys, first question is for Anthony Johnson. Rumble, this is, the rematch with Daniel Cormier. You fought him, less than basically 2 years ago. What is the biggest difference for you going into this rematch? What separates you from now versus that first fight in 2015?
Well, I'm definitely not the same fighter I was 2 years ago. Every day, every week, every month, every year, I'm getting better and better. So, you'll see a different guy out there the next time you see me fight.
I know when I talked to you after the fight was canceled the last time when DC got injured, you had said that you were in the best condition, the best shape you've ever been in, and it was obviously a letdown that you didn't get the fight. Was it not so much tough getting back up for it, but I mean, how did your body react after going through an entire training camp last year, and then they kind of have to restart that again without ever actually having fought?
I mean, it wasn't too hard, I'm glad he canceled on Thanksgiving because I had a chance to eat. You know what I'm saying, with the fam, so everything was all good. But, I just started back from scratch like I always do and just got back in shape like I needed to. And, no injuries and everything's good to go.
I know you and DC have been pretty cordial with each other leading up to the fight, but I know he said a couple of times that, he believes that you have basically one round to go out there and beat him. Now, you've been a vicious knockout puncher in that first round, maybe the first 7 minutes, I think is what he said. How do you feel about that? I mean, is that just typical, trash talk, or how do you take that, that's kind of the perception that he has, that he believes you're really dangerous in that first round, but then after that, not so much?
Well, the majority of the community believes I'm just a, first-round fighter because most of my fights end in the first round. But, they're entitled to their own opinion, and that's fine with me. I have nothing to prove to anybody except myself. So if he wants to believe that and everybody else wants to believe that, that's completely fine with me.
In the first fight, you came so close. You hit him and you knocked him down in that first round. If that same opportunity comes up in the second fight, do you believe that you'll be able to capitalize and get that finish, to get that clean knockout like you had over Glover, like you had over Jimmy Manoa?
Yeah, of course. I just have to. I just got to go out there and be myself and do what I do. If I hit him one time and he drops, and I go after him again, I hit him again. He's definitely in trouble for the second punch, but punch or kick or whatever it is. But Daniel, he has a great chin. He's a great athlete. So, he won't be easy by any means necessary. So, we'll see what happens. We have a week till we find out, technically, so let's just wait and see what happens.
And a question for DC. DC, I know legacy is important to you. I know when you retire from this sport, you want to leave it behind in a way that, we think you as one of the greatest of all time. Does getting a second win over Rumble get you any closer to that, or is it ultimately always going to come down to that Jon Jones rivalry?
I think beating Rumble again, it'll help, but ultimately it will come down to my rivalry with Jones. Anthony has done a tremendous job as he's come up in weight classes, but we're talking about a rivalry with a guy that many consider the greatest fighter of all time. So wins over a guy like Jon Jones is what's going to really, probably be the one thing that solidifies where I'm trying to sit whenever I retire from the sport. At the end of the day, I do have a tough challenge on my hands next week. Beating Anthony again, it'll just be a closing the chapter, people really do believe in him, and they really do love the knockout, so he gets a reputation for being, the scariest guy. So beating someone like that twice really should cement who I am and everything else I've done, but ultimately I think it will depend on the rivalry with Jones.
My last question, DC. You've done so much in your career, fighting at heavyweight, beating everybody that you've ever faced with the exception of Jon Jones. But going into this fight, I think the odds have it pretty much dead even. The last I checked, a lot of people believe, the Rumble with the knockout power that he is, the guy who could beat you. Why don't you get the respect that you deserve, considering you do have a win over him, and outside of the Jones fight, you've been undefeated your entire career?
I don't know. But as I said not dictate people's feelings. The fact that the odds say that we're even, I actually have no idea how anyone could think that we're even. He had a moment. He had a moment in the first fight. Outside of that moment, I pretty much just beat him up. So I don't understand, what would make anyone believe that Anthony and I are close. But next Saturday, I just get to show him again and just beat on him again like I did last time.
Thanks, DC.
And once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll take our next question from Kendrick Johnson with ringtv.com. Please go ahead.
First couple calls for Romo. How you doing, brother? How you doing, man?
What's good, man? I ain't talked to you in a minute. What's happening?
Yeah, we got to catch up. Does it bother you the fact that, well, I'll phrase it this way, with getting that belt, would that solidify your legacy as being as one, not just a knockout artist, but just being as one of the best fighters of your generation, and kind of you be kind of, I won't say validated, but kind of validate you what you have the strap around your waist?
Yes. I mean, that's always the ultimate goal for top athlete in, mixed martial arts or any sport, to be the best and get a championship or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, getting the belt will definitely put me right up there with the best of the best. I don't want to be a, could have been, or one of those guys that they talk about on the boards or whatever, saying that this guy could have been this and he could have been that, or should have been, and all of this and all of that. I want to be that guy that they said he did it.
And we've talked, of course, after you lost to DC the first time. In a weird way, do you think you had to go through that? Because I remember you kind of made it like, well, it just wasn't my time, wasn't ready. Do you kind of think you had to go through that to get to this point, to be ready to be that champion? In a weird way, looking back on it, of course, you don't want to lose, but you think in a weird way it was a blessing to get you to this point and ready for this big moment?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely lit a fire under my ass to train harder and know what I needed to do to beat this guy, but he's the champ, and that's what it is, you know what I mean? Everybody trains to beat the champion and be the best, so, I'm just like the average person, I'm going out there and, I did what I had to do to prepare, so I look forward to it.
And do you see your hand getting raised without getting a knockout? Can you see your hand still getting raised?
Excuse me? Hello?
And how's that?
He doesn't. Hey, what's your name? Kendrick? Is your name Kendrick?
Yeah, Kendrick.
Kendrick, he does not believe that if he doesn't knock me out, he's going to get his hand raised. That's why he didn't answer your question. Anthony's a smart guy. He won't lie to you. He's honest and he's smart.
Actually,
I
didn't.
He has no doubt in his mind that if he doesn't knock me out, he's going to win. So, Kendrick, don't waste your breath and your time. He knows. He knows his only path to victory.
Well, I pose my question to you. Is there a way you win without having to grind it out, or are you just going to do the same thing as fight one, grind it out and just do your thing?
I can make it easy and do that to him, or I can just beat him up on the feet. I can do whatever I want, Kendrick. That's the difference between him and I. He's got one way to win the fight. I can win any way I choose to.
Gotcha. So would you stand and get in a knockout drag out like you did with Alexander, or are you just going to keep it safe?
If I need to, I will. If Anthony makes me, then I will. It really does depend on how I decide to fight this fight, Kendrick.
And what's his confidence come from? Just for the fact that you already beat him, or just something that you added to your repertoire that we haven't seen before?
I mean, I've been training and I've gotten better. I feel like I'm a better fighter today than I was the first time. The first time we fought, I fought him on 3.5 weeks' notice. I had a 3-week training camp. and still outworked him. I mean, I know I was a different opponent than his previous guy, but he still had a full training camp. I had 3.5 weeks to get prepared for a championship fight and still found a way to outwork him. What's going to happen now that I've been training for him for 12 weeks? It's going to be worse than the first one.
What's your take to critics, DC, that said that you lost the stuff since the surgery?
I have no idea what people are talking about. I fought Anderson Silva on 2 days' notice, and I beat a guy that people consider the greatest fighter of all time, 30-26 across the board. There was no danger in that fight. That was the easiest fight of my entire career. I don't know how I lost the step. If anything, I showed I can still take takedowns whenever I choose to.